I planned the perfect proposal after 3 years, but she pulled out the ring and said, "Don't do this, I don't love you." So I stood up, walked away, and left her with nothing but silence. My name's Jack, and I'm 29 years old. I still remember that day with a clarity so painful it feels like a knife twisting every time the memory resurfaces. After spending 3 years with Zoe, I genuinely believed I had found the woman I would spend the rest of my life with. We had met at a mutual friend's barbecue, one of those easy, sunlit afternoons where conversations flowed freely, and laughter came as naturally as breathing. From the moment we started talking, something just clicked. We shared the same sense of humor, the same taste in movies, and the same passion for weekend hikes and spontaneous road trips. It wasn't just chemistry, it was compatibility. Those 3 years were filled with countless memories. Holidays with our families, cozy birthday dinners, last-minute beach vacations, and nights spent curled up on the couch watching movies we'd already seen 100 times. I introduced her to my parents, my siblings, my closest friends. I was proud to call her mine. Never once did I doubt that she felt the same. I took her laughter, her presence, her weekend sleepovers as proof of her love. I thought we were building something real, something that would last. But if I'm being honest, there were red flags I ignored. Little things, really. Moments where she dodged questions about our future. Jokes about marriage that she brushed off with a laugh that felt a bit too forced. Times when she seemed distant, distracted, but I always dismissed it as stress or mood swings, because that's what love does. It makes you justify the unjustifiable. I thought maybe she just needed more time, that eventually she'd come around. And so, a month before everything fell apart, I made a decision that would change everything. I bought a ring. It wasn't flashy or huge. It was simple, elegant, and incredibly beautiful, much like Zoe herself. I knew she didn't care for grand gestures, so I chose our favorite little Italian place for the proposal. A quaint, cozy restaurant tucked away in a quiet corner of the city, where we had shared countless meals, laughs, and stories. I called ahead, spoke to the manager, and arranged for the ring to be hidden in her dessert. Everyone was enthusiastic, offering to make the moment perfect. That evening, I arrived early, dressed neatly, heart racing in my chest. The waiter gave me a thumbs up as I took my seat. Zoe arrived minutes later, radiant as always, her smile lighting up the room. We talked, ate, laughed. Everything felt normal, comfortable, right? And then, dessert arrived. Cheesecake, her favorite. I watched as she dug in with a fork, only to pause, her eyes catching a metallic glint. She fished the ring out, confused at first, and then her entire expression shifted. "Jack, what is this?" she asked, alarm creeping into her voice. I got up, walked around the table, and knelt down, my hands shaking. "Zoe, I love you. Will you marry me?" The room fell silent, all eyes on us. I expected tears, a smile, a joyful yes. Instead, her face turned pale. She shook her head gently. "Please don't do this. Everyone's watching." "Zoe, what are you talking about?" I whispered, confused. She closed her eyes for a moment, then looked at me and said the words that still echo. "I don't love you. Please, Jack. Just stop." I felt like the ground had been pulled out from under me. My chest tightened, my throat closed, but I nodded, stood up without another word, and walked out of that restaurant. The chatter behind me was a distant blur as I got into my car and drove without destination, just wanting to escape from the crumbling ruins of what I thought was my life. Hours later, I found myself on my best friend Eric's couch. He didn't ask questions, just gave me coffee the next morning and said, "Whenever you're ready." That day I checked my phone. There were texts from Zoe. Nothing remotely apologetic. Just blame. "You put me on the spot. You should have known. I never said I wanted marriage." My hands trembled as I read them. 3 years. 3 years of planning holidays together, sharing family dinners, whispering secrets at midnight. And now she was acting like it meant nothing. Like I should have known better. Like I was the one who misread everything. And that's when the doubts turned into anger. I started thinking back over the past year, the nights she didn't answer her phone, the weekends she was suddenly busy, the trips with friends where no photos were ever posted. I needed the truth. So I logged into her Instagram. She had given me her password a long time ago when her phone had broken. She never changed it. And there it was. Months of messages with other guys. Flirty conversations, plans, secret meet UPS. One guy, Ethan, was clearly more than a flirt. I hope he doesn't propose, one message read. If he does, I'll die. She knew. She suspected. And she let me do it anyway. Let me publicly humiliate myself while she smiled behind my back. That was the moment something inside me changed. I wasn't going to be the fool who crumbled. I was going to be smart, quiet, calculated. The apartment lease was in my name. The next morning, I filed a 30-day notice. Our streaming services, utility bills, phone plan, all under my name. Cancelled. Cut. I left her a polite message. Since we're just hanging out, you can handle your own bills now. Best of luck. Then I reached out to her boss, the same boss I had once given a personal reference to when she got the job. They still had me as her emergency contact. When he mentioned she had called in sick last month, I just chuckled. Her sick aunt had been dead for 2 years. I didn't say much, just let the doubt plant its roots. A few days passed. No response from Zoe. Then a flood of angry texts. Why's the internet off? Why is my phone disconnected? Did you really cancel the lease? Call me now. I waited, let her stew, then finally picked up when she called. You can't just do this, she yelled. We were just hanging out, remember? I replied calmly. No commitments. No strings. You're free now. She went quiet, then tried a softer tone. You're overreacting. That night was just... I was pressured. I nearly laughed. The proposal you already knew about? The one you and Ethan laughed about in your DMs. More silence. Her breathing changed. She knew I knew everything. You read my messages? She snapped. Damn right I did, I said. 3 years of my life wasted on someone who thought I was a joke. And by the way, your boss knows too. Maybe think twice next time you call in sick. Her voice cracked. Please don't ruin my life. You did that all by yourself, I said. I'm just cleaning up the mess. Then I hung up, blocked her, and walked away for good. A week later, I heard from a friend that she lost her job. Ethan ghosted her the moment things got complicated. The apartment was returned to the landlord. She had no place to go. And me? I moved on. New city, new job, new peace. She tried emailing me a few months later. Said she missed what we had. Said she didn't realize what she had until it was gone. But she didn't miss me. She missed the stability, the comfort, the guy who loved her while she made a fool of him. And that guy, he's gone. He walked out of that restaurant and never looked back. I never looked back, not even once, because deep in my heart I knew that the moment I walked out of that restaurant wasn't just me exiting a room. It was me stepping out of a delusion, out of the shadow of a relationship that had quietly dismantled me from the inside out. I had poured 3 years of my life into a future that only I believed in, built castles in the sky on foundations that were never meant to stand. And yet, there was no bitterness in my steps, only a profound sense of closure. Not the closure that comes from answers or apologies, but the kind that grows in the space where you finally stop asking why and start rebuilding from the rubble with your own hands. Zoe's silence spoke volumes in the weeks that followed. Her absence from my life wasn't just a relief. It was a liberation. No more waiting on replies. No more wondering what she meant when she looked away during serious conversations. No more tolerating a love that was measured only by convenience. For the first time in years, I slept without anxiety, ate without a knot in my stomach, and breathed without wondering if I was enough. Because the truth was, I was more than enough. I just gave my best to someone who was still shopping for options while holding on to me as her safety net. The most bittersweet part was realizing how many red flags I had ignored because I loved her. The way she'd dismiss my affection with laughter, how she'd grow cold whenever I spoke of our future, or how her phone was always glued to her hand, screen turned just slightly out of my view. I had been willfully blind because my heart was loud and hopeful, drowning out the quiet pleas of my instincts that told me something wasn't right. But that's the thing about love. It can make fools out of the most rational people. And in my case, it took public rejection, humiliation, and betrayal for my eyes to finally open. People often say revenge is a dish best served cold. But for me, revenge was peace. It was waking up every morning knowing I took control of my narrative. That I didn't beg, didn't plead, didn't sink to the level of screaming matches and toxic closure. I just walked away. I handled my business quietly, efficiently, and with the poise she never expected from me. She probably thought I'd crumble, that I'd chase her for explanations or try to win her back. Instead, I let the silence between us speak for me, and it roared loud enough to drown out whatever excuses she might have offered. Months passed, and life moved on. I reclaimed pieces of myself I had forgotten I'd given away. I reconnected with old friends, took road trips alone, found joy in my own company again. I even went back to that Italian restaurant once. Not out of nostalgia, but closure. I sat at a different table, ordered the same dessert, and smiled when the waiter recognized me but didn't say a word. That night, I toasted to myself. Not to the pain, but to the strength that grew from it. To the boy who proposed on one knee and got broken in return. And to the man who rose from that moment stronger, sharper, and wiser. As for Zoe, I heard through the grapevine that things didn't pan out the way she hoped. Ethan, the guy from her messages, turned out to be exactly what she feared. Someone who wanted fun, not foundations. He vanished as quickly as he'd entered. Her job took a hit, her apartment was gone, and her circle of friends shrunk as the truth surfaced. But that wasn't my story anymore. That was the path she chose when she lied, when she laughed behind my back, when she let me embarrass myself in a room full of strangers rather than simply tell me the truth. I didn't gloat. I didn't celebrate her downfall, because healing isn't about hoping others hurt the way you did. It's about no longer caring whether they're watching when you rise. It's about owning your scars like medals, knowing you survived something that almost broke you. And that's what I did. I survived. I loved fully, fell hard, crashed loudly, and still got back up. That's the story. Not the ring, not the rejection, but the resurrection that came after. And if you've ever stood in my shoes, felt that same cold sting of a love that was never real, then let this be your reminder. Walking away isn't weakness. Sometimes, it's the strongest thing you'll ever do. So to anyone out there holding on to someone who only holds you back, let go. Trust that the future waiting for you is bigger than the lie you're living in. You deserve honesty. You deserve depth. You deserve someone who doesn't just love you when it's easy. You deserve what I'm finding now, a life without pretense, without pain, without pretending. And if that means walking alone for a while, so be it. I'd rather walk alone in truth than stand beside someone in a lie. If you made it this far, thank you for listening to my story. Hit that subscribe button if you believe in real love, in self-respect, and in starting over on your own terms.